Yes. What is going on, everybody? Critic and the Common Man here. Okay, forewarning, if you guys don't follow us on Instagram and you notice that I may have a slight lisp in this podcast and the next 5 months worth of podcasts, I got Invisalign.
I didn't even notice.
It was something that Chris was been on me about for a long time. Every time we watch the podcast, he's like, your fucking teeth, man. Get them fixed. And finally, I'd had enough of the harassment, and so I did it. I only have to wear them for 5 months, so this shouldn't be too bad, and I've only had them for like less than a week. So they're telling me that the lisp is going to go away. I'm wondering if we can hear it more in this Yeti than you can like over this thing, but I really don't think it's that bad, guys. It's really nothing.
Really not that bad.
Yeah,
Nemo's swimming
really
out
be
to
that...
sea.
So, unfortunately, I'm going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, a little bit disabled for the next 5 months, but I'm going to come out of this thing squeaky clean. Up today, you guys saw the thumbnail, Coming to America. This one dropped on Amazon not too long ago, Chris. I think we're just a couple weeks behind on this, but now let's jump into it, man. So,
little known
this
fact.
has been... Go ahead.
Little known fact. The Black Panther is from Zamunda.
Very little known fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Comic book fans can attest to that.
Yeah. All Marvel fans can attest to that. The return from Zamunda, I guess kind of it's like the return back to Zamunda.
Yeah.
Coming to America, this has been a long time in the works. Eddie Murphy coming out with this one, Arsenio Hall. New guy, Jermaine Fowler. Hadn't really seen him in much.
Is he the
coming
kid?
into this? Yeah, he was Lavelle.
Yeah,
he was
he's
Lavelle Johnson.
an attractive-looking cat.
Yeah,
his hair is amazing in
a
that.
sharp guy for sure. For sure. He definitely had the look. I kind of see him as like a young prince. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He had the vibe. What do you think, man? I mean, this obviously the first one came out so long ago, and you and I were big fans of it. One of those movies we'd seen plenty of times, and now they come out with this sequel. Did it feel like a cash grab to you, or did you actually genuinely enjoy this one a little bit?
It didn't feel like a cash grab, but it did feel unnecessary. It did feel like Eddie Murphy, saying like, hey, what'd be cool is if we revisit this, but it didn't feel like Eddie Murphy being like, hey, we should make this and make a shit ton of money. It's still... One thing I appreciate about the original film is that, especially for the time it was released, which I think was 88, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It showed culture it showed African culture in a different sort of light. Like we as Americans, especially as Western audiences, Western thinkers, if you will, we think of Africa and we think of like savannas and deserts and poverty and stuff, but people don't realize that there's a lot of beautiful things. I mean, I don't know, I've never been, but there's a lot of beautiful I mean, I haven't, but like there's more to, like, just like for me in my home country, like there's a lot more to it than just the poor homes and stuff. There's beauty to it. So it was just what I'm saying is it was really nice to see Eddie Murphy and the cast of this film take this made up fictional African country and portray it with culture and color and beauty. And I like that they did that in this new one as well. I like that they kind of, with modern technology and modern style and stuff, I mean the costuming and the color and the cultural representation was absolutely stunning in this film.
I got kind of mixed opinions on this one, man.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot to like about the movie. I almost wish it wasn't even a Coming to America sequel. I wish it was just kind of a standalone film because the whole thing about Coming to America is it's Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. It's Arsenio Hall. They're hilarious. Just funny guys. You want to see more of them, and for them to kind of pass the torch to this new, Lavelle Johnson, his son. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It just didn't feel like the original Coming to America to me because it wasn't Eddie Murphy, really. I mean, we got very little. I would say we got very little of Eddie Murphy. I feel like we got very little of Eddie Murphy being funny. Mm-hmm. I didn't really find myself laughing at the Eddie Murphy parts of this movie, which is kind of what I went into this hoping for. They play on the original movie a good bit, with the baths and the people popping up out of the water. It's just funny, man. There's a lot to take from the original one that's hilarious. But this new one felt like they kind of were trying to pass the torch. Yeah. And I felt like we didn't get enough of Eddie Murphy in this. And how can you not get enough of Eddie Murphy in Coming to America?
Yeah.
Also, they didn't come to America. This was going back to Zamunda. It just
yeah.
there was positive, but if you accept it for what it is, if you almost kind of take it as not so much as a coming to America movie and just the movie that it was, I thought it was actually really funny, and I was pretty entertained too. I always think it's a little bit weird when a movie tries to do, and we said this with oh my God, what was the Will Ferrell one with the like the singing contest?
Yeah,
Eurovision.
Fire Saga.
We said the same thing with Eurovision, where it's like when a movie that's supposed to be a comedy or something all of a sudden has like a really serious concert in it. Like people are singing and performing and they like are legitimately trying to do it for real. It's like you're always kind of taken back a little bit. It's like, wait a second, like what are you doing here? Like this isn't The Voice. Like I'm not here to like watch some fancy performance. The music was great, and there was nothing wrong with it. Just the vibe from this movie just fell a little bit flat.
So what
for
did
me.
you think of Eurovision? No, I'm just
Yeah, I was like, what? Go check out our Eurovision review if you guys want to see it. Dude, this was star-studded, like to the moon, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody wanted to kind of get in on this thing. Let me go down the list of some of the big names that were in this in case you missed any of them. Wesley Snipes was in this, James Earl Jones, John
Wesley
Amos.
Snipes. When I saw that, I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, dude, there was some big names in this, some funny performances. Star-studded cast. I'm sure when people saw that Eddie Murphy was doing this, everybody wanted to jump on board. They knew it was going to be a big release.
Dude, I have to say that of all of the parts in the movie, I'm pretty. What's the word? I'm pretty confident in I can't. I'm trying to process everything still, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I think that the best part, or at least the most emotionally impactful part for me personally, was when James Earl Jones, his dad was, like watching his own funeral and stuff, and then he just goes, "I'm going to die now," and then he just died and
just falls asleep.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, like that kind of hit me. I was like, oh my God, that's like weirdly beautiful the way like that was his like last words to his son, and then.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of nodded off like that. As a father, like it was just kind of, I mean, I'm not a father.
Only dog fathers. Dude,
Right.
I feel like they kind of... Eddie Murphy's kids in this movie, his daughters, kind of got like the short end of the stick on this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Like I thought this was going to be like a female empowerment kind of like, uplift movie for that, and it was not at all. It was like, no, here's my son who's going to come in and become the new prince, and like forget my daughters. Like fuck that.
What the film did a lot of things to kind of like you said, pass the torch and
yeah.
It sort of make, their own nods to the original film. A lot of throwbacks, a lot of clips from the previous film. And then it tried to be its own movie, but a lot of the characters didn't get developed. A lot of the characters were very flat, two-dimensional. Like I guess I didn't appreciate the love between, I think what was her name? Marumbe?
There was Mika, Lisa. I'm trying to remember who was who in this.
The hairstylist that was working.
Oh yeah. I don't remember her name. Yeah, I don't remember. I've just got all the actors' names pulled up. I don't remember what the characters' names were.
The one that he falls in love with. The two of them. What's his name? Lavelle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't really feel that they fell in love. It felt rushed. It felt very much like this is a Disney movie and they just met and now they have to fall in love because, and like they kind of did that in the first one, but at the same time, that he was there for 40 days. So, I don't know. I didn't feel that, and I felt like that was rushed. And then on top of that, you have the three sisters that all did get the short end of the stick. They tried to do a little bit with that, but for the most part, all they got was like a semi-decent, ass-kicking scene, and then it was over, and that's about as much development as they got.
Yeah, we said the same thing. We felt like their relationship was pretty rushed. It was like all of a sudden they're going to fall in love, and it was really predictable that kind
super
of thing happened.
predictable. And that's really what the whole movie was. It was just predictable. It was like everything that happened.
Dude, I got to say... Mm-hmm. I gotta say, man, Tracy Morgan and Leslie Jones to me were the funniest.
Oh yeah, Leslie Jones is that his mom?
Yeah,
dude, she made the movie.
So
she made the movie.
They were so funny.
Yeah,
yeah, and and the crazy thing is, I feel like Eddie Murphy was the least funny character in this whole film. How is that possible?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like they,
'Cause he
it's
had to
almost
be
like
more
Eddie Murphy
serious.
just wanted to. I guess I don't know the route they took with the story on this was surprising to me, that they were going to make the whole movie about his son and really not have it be about Eddie Murphy at all.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was surprising to me, and I think it kind of detracted from it.
Him and his mom, Tracy Morgan for sure, Uncle whatever, I can't remember his name was.
Uncle Reem.
That's right, Uncle Reem. Yeah, them. I love the barbershop trio.
I think there's 4 of them.
Is there 4? Yeah.
If a man wants to call
Yeah.
himself
Now,
Muhammad,
who is that? Who is the one that plays that guy? The old. I think he's Jewish, right? Is that a Yiddish accent?
dude, I don't remember. I thought it was literally Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy in makeup. Like I thought it was
I'm
just
pretty
them all
sure
dressed
it's
up
one
in
of
makeup.
them playing that guy, but I don't know.
I don't remember.
But-
Arsenio Hall hasn't aged a bit to me.
Dude, right?
Dude, he looks exactly the same as he
Yeah.
did in the first movie. How's that possible?
I don't
That's
know.
insane.
Clones?
I guess. Yeah, some good stem cells or something. That guy looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
He looks exactly the same. And really, Eddie Murphy doesn't look that much older
No,
either.
just a little more gray, but
not-
no wrinkles.
Yeah, just a little more gray. But either one of them. I felt like this was, honestly, I felt like it was just a little bit less creative sequel to
Yes.
a very, very creative original movie.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's hard to... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't feel like it was too much of a cash grab because it was different enough to
Mm-hmm.
where this was pretty unique. They definitely had a lot of humor from the first Coming to America, but it wasn't like the whole thing was just them redoing that movie.
Yeah.
It felt unique. It didn't feel like necessarily just a cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it was as good as the first one. I mean, how could it?
Agreed. Yeah, and it felt like a cheaper... Well, not cheaper because it's probably more expensive to make this movie than it was then. But it felt like... I don't know. Cheap is the only word I can say. The only one that I can think. It's the only word I can say. Cheap.
It just less creative to me.
Yes.
The whole thing was just less creative.
Yes. It just...
They tried to go more over the top with a less creative story, I kind of feel like. And it was like, you know, they getting the whiskers from the lion, and that was the whole thing. And it was just, it felt kind of scattered.
Yeah,
This whole movie
did.
felt a little bit scattered
It just
to
felt
me.
like
I
not the best writing team. It ultimately
yeah,
is what
I
it
can
felt
agree with
like.
that. I just wanted more Eddie Murphy. I wanted more of Eddie Murphy's comedy. I just didn't really get it. I don't know. To me, he felt like one of the least funny characters in this whole thing.
I feel like as vulgar and raunchy as the first one was, it still had more heart than this one. You know, like it was more about follow.
Yeah,
like
for
I mean,
sure.
the whole theme of that one was like, you know, follow your heart, like, do what you want to do, screw tradition. And this one kind of did the same thing, but it tried to do more humor and not enough of the heart. And I think that's where it kind of, I don't know, and like the humor fell short. But again, what I will say
the
is
first
that,
one, it was all new in the first one, man. Like the barbershop guys were
True.
new, and the Soul Glow
Yeah.
song was hilarious and new, and the McDowell's thing was hilarious and new, and you hadn't seen all this before. So when they try to come back with that comedy is not going to be as good.
Get yourself
Not that it's
some
not good
Soul
comedy, you've just
Glow.
seen it before. Soul Glow. Like you know, it's just not as good.
Yeah.
But or not, it's not as good. It's just we've heard it before.
Right.
So then the new comedy that they added into this was not as funny as the original Coming to America. No way.
but you know, like you turn your brain off, and it was, you know, it was enjoyable enough. Like I
liked it.
Yeah.
No, I liked the movie. I'm saying it was a mix. I wish that this movie had just been its own thing, like somehow just gotten away from the Coming to America brand.
Yeah.
Because I felt like the expectations were all on Eddie Murphy, and then Jermaine Fowler comes in and kills it. I actually really liked his character. I thought he was a great
Yeah.
actor, and
he
I
looked
laughed
like-
during this movie.
again, I can't get enough of the costuming and the performances in this. It was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was just
It was
beautiful.
It was there. It just didn't. When you make yourself as a sequel to like one of the funniest, like a huge classic movie like that, then you force yourself to be compared to that original
Yeah.
movie. And unfortunately, there's just not really that comparison. It was not. You can't say this was. I'd be hard pressed to say this was better than the original Coming
No.
to America. I don't think they wanted it. I don't think they expected it to be better. I wish it had more Eddie Murphy in it. But for what it was, being a movie led by Jermaine Fowler and his story, I thought it was really funny. There was definitely plenty of humor in there. I laughed throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It felt like a less creative sequel to
Agreed.
an insanely creative original.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, like all of that said, you know, like the performances, you know, like the musical performances, obviously a star-studded cast, the costuming and the hair design, everything it felt very modern, very, it was like pushing the edge of like style and fashion, and it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything was very colorful and vibrant. I loved it. That's my one thing with like 80s films. I didn't like the way they were shot back in the day because the technology wasn't there. But seeing it in like 4K, 8K, modern cameras was a nice change of pace. But the story itself lacked a little bit of the luster that I guess the first one had, a little bit of the heart. But Leslie Jones and Tracy Morgan, and like they killed it. They killed it. And in my opinion, if Leslie Jones hadn't been in this, wouldn't have been funny.
The new people that they brought into it did help it big time, but I also feel like they took away from the original cast a little bit who was there. We got way less of Arsenio Hall, way less of Leslie Jones, way less of Eddie Murphy. I kind of would have not that Jermaine Fowler, Tracy Morgan, and Leslie Jones weren't bad, but I feel like if you take them out of the movie, then we probably would have gotten more of that classic humor that I think people kind of wanted and expected from this.
Yeah. But overall, it is kind of just mind-numbing entertainment. You go in, you turn your brain off, laugh, and that's it. That's really what the whole movie. Like, I don't think the movie's trying to be any more than what it was back in the day.
It was received by the critics about as well as I thought it would, but it was received by the audience way worse. So. The critic score on this thing is a 50%.
That's about
which
what
doesn't really surprise me. But where would you guess that the audience score would be on something like this?
I feel like there's a lot of love for the original, and I feel like modern audiences, a lot of the humor too isn't politically correct anymore. So I feel like
you can't do an original Coming to America today.
No,
you
hell
can't
no.
Do that.
Yeah, not at all.
You can't do that.
So, I don't know, 30, 40%?
I mean, you're getting better at this. 41%. Yeah, 41%. So you're right on. To me, that's a little bit low. Last thing I will say before we jump into our scores here is, dude, I hate the in-your-face branding for these movies. I don't know if they had an issue with McDonald's, like McDonald's didn't want them to do this, or Pepsi or whatever it was. But, dude, did you notice there was very blatant branding in your face? Like, they mentioned McDonald's a lot more, and we're mentioning Pepsi and stuff.
I noticed the Pepsi. Like, they straight up had the Pepsi.
That drives me nuts, dude. Like, the really I feel like Eddie Murphy almost said, like, hey, we had an issue with McDonald's when we first made this movie. We don't want to go through this again. What do we need to do to make it okay to reference McDowell's again? And you notice they barely reference McDowell's. Yeah. Barely. Like, they were really treading that line this time, whereas in the first one, they didn't care. But that like in-your-face branding drives me nuts. It's like, keep that stuff out of your movies.
McDonald's
that
has the
crazy.
McFlurry. We have the McFlubby or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you don't have to tell us what McDonald's has. We know what McDonald's. Like, it just, I don't know. The branding felt kind of blatant, and we've seen other movies do that, like cheaper movies like Transformers and stuff, where like Chevy will have their like blatant advertising in there, and it's like, dude, I'm not into this. Like, this feels.
We gotta go, and then like it just cuts to like a close up of like,
we need the best, fastest Transformer we got, and it's like a Chevy Impala just comes rolling around the corner. It's like
a little
like,
ding on the logo.
Yeah, you're like, all right. So what do you think, man? Where do you come in on your score of Coming to America?
I think I appreciate the original film a little more, and
of course.
Like, this wasn't like the worst thing that I could have watched. Like, I feel like I would rather watch this than Mulan. So
dude, I'm not coming into this saying it was a bad movie, man. I enjoyed it. I just, you have to.
I was hoping for more, is all. I was hoping for more. I don't know. I've already kind of, said everything again. The costuming and all that. The acting was great. The kid did a fantastic job. He's a phenomenal actor, and I'm sure he's going to go on to do a lot of things, especially with
he's
how sharp he looked in his like costumes. Costume sounds
his royal
so
garb.
Wrong, but the traditional African clothing, I guess. I don't know what.
Sure.
There's a word for it, and I used to know it. Damn you, anthropology.
Damn you.
What I'm trying to say is, it wasn't a terrible film. I would watch it again if I was, bored or if I was having like a party or people over and like it's something we just want on in the background. I think I would watch it again. But all in all, I think I'm gonna come in with like a 5.5, maybe a 6. I'm gonna go with 5.5 just because I know that I feel like the original just did more, and I wanted more from this one, and I expected more. So, especially after 30, 40 years of not having this, I kind of was hoping they would take it and continue with the heart that the original one had, even with all of the vulgar and raunchy comedy and all that. So I think 5.5.
Yeah, and I think if you take this away from Coming to America, if you take that name off of it and just make this its own unique movie, I think it gets bumped up a little higher, because I think for what we've seen lately, this is still pretty creative. But I think you're forced to compare it to the original when you come out with the sequel like that. Yeah, I wanted more out of Eddie Murphy for sure. I still enjoyed this movie. I wouldn't watch it again. I would watch the original Coming to America. And if I was putting something on at a party, I would absolutely put on the original Coming to America, because you're going to get way more conversation and laughs and
The
enjoyment out
barbershop
of that than this one.
Stuff that in the original was just so funny.
For sure. You know, Coming to America actually would be a great movie to just have on in the background, because you can pretty much laugh at almost any part of that movie. That movie is hilarious. It was okay. I'm glad I watched it. I didn't feel mad about watching it or anything. It was a little bit of a less creative take than I wanted it to be, but I kind of expected what we got.
The bloopers were great.
The bloopers are always great. Yeah, I love that they put those in. What happened to bloopers?
I
Why do
know.
you not get
Right?
blooper reels anymore?
Like all the Rush Hour movies have them, and they're fantastic.
Dude, there's something about bloopers that really like help you connect to a movie when you see the actors just cracking up and breaking.
I don't know. It makes you. It makes the audience a little more forgiving, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. You realize that, like, hey, these are just people like trying to get through this thing. Yeah, I get that. I'm gonna come in at a 6.5.
Okay.
So I'll be a point higher than you. 5.5 and a 6.5. I actually enjoyed this. I just obviously, and I've said this a million times, so this will be the last time, I just don't think it holds up to the original. And I wanted more Eddie Murphy. I thought it was kind of weird how this whole thing passed the torch onto like a new main character. But that's it.
I think if
you got anything else for...
if the writing had just been a little more solid with the character development and stuff, I think I would have leaned in more towards a 6.5. But it felt
you could say that. You could say that about a lot of movies nowadays, man. This felt very typical of what we've seen in the past 5-10 years, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, guys, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Do you like Coming to America? Do you wish they hadn't made it? Do you think it was better than the original? Hey, there could be some bold people out there. Yeah. That's a bold statement.
Some people probably
jump on over to our Instagram.
Original, like look and feel like that 80s type of movie.
Dude, how do you hate the original? Right? If you hate the original, you're
unsubscribe. You know what?
Sure.
We don't want you. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, sorry, man. If you hate the original Coming to America,
this
is not the place for you. This is not the place for you. That's it, guys. Coming to America, Critic and the Common Man, we appreciate it. Leave us a like or subscribe down below if it's your first time checking us out, or if you're coming back. Otherwise, we are out of here. See y'all. Peace.